Today, I'd like to talk to you about the Jean Monnet Professor Program of the European Union and what exactly that means for universities and students. Before I do that, I'd just like to give you three dates where I will be appearing on March 27th. I will be at the University of Antwerp, invited by LVSV Antwerp and by Students for Liberty Belgium. So I'll be giving a speech of about half an hour. It'll be about environmentalism the whole evening. So English speakers are welcome. The other half of the evening will, though, be in Dutch. So just be aware of that. So that'll be March 27th. I don't have all the details just yet, but I'll be posting it as soon as I have them. On March 28th, for those who are in Luxembourg, I will be moderating the annual event of Finance and Technology Luxembourg. So we'll be talking about PSD2 directive of the European Union, open banking, etc., etc. And you can also see me on April 13 in Madrid, where I'm invited by Students for Liberty Spain and Instituto Juan y Mariana at their place in Madrid, where I'll be laying out the European case against the European Union. I believe that will also be broadcasted or at least recorded, and so you can probably find that on YouTube later, and I'll be posting all the relevant info down below. The Jean Monnet Professor program is part of Erasmus Plus, and I've talked about Erasmus Plus before. If you go on the website of Erasmus Plus and you even just scroll down on like latest Erasmus Plus news, you see 3 million euros more for the forward-looking cooperation projects call, or you see 60 million euros now available for the European Universities project. And so the whole thing is coordinated by the European Commission's Education, Audiovisual and Cultural Executive Agency. Real tongue twister right there. That's the EACEA. And so they coordinate Erasmus Plus. And of course, you're going to scroll through a lot of news with big funding, because the whole project is about 15 billion euros. For the current framework, so we'll see how the budget will be next time. And so we talked about Erasmus Plus, and I've mentioned the youth projects and the fact that if you go to a youth conference or you go to one of these Parliament youth conferences where there's a big debate and good food and free travel, well, that's because it's all funded by the European Union. And so that's why the content of those conferences never tends to voice much criticism. It voices criticism that the European Union doesn't do enough, but it never really voices criticism that the European Union might be doing a bit too much. And so the Jean Monnet chair is basically the same thing, just for professors. This is where the European Union gives money to professors to teach about the European Union. And so they have different programs in that. With specific instructions. So you get the Jean Monnet chair, that's specifically for the professors, but you also get centers of excellence, support to associations, modules, networks, and projects, all designed to have more studies in the field of the European Union. Because the more studies you have in the field of the European Union, the more people have dependent on the system of being a professor or an intellectual in that area, and the more support, of course, you get in those intellectual circles. So no surprise when you see UK university professors are writing a letter against Brexit. When you see that, well, it's probably because half of them get money from the European Union to do that. Now, if you go into the documents, and I'll be posting all of those down below, you see that an individual grant can be about 60,000 euros for that individual professor. Now, you could say, and I would probably support that too, that I don't like the whole funding argument. So in my opinion, if the claim of the professors is that there's no issue about, that they didn't change their mind because they got money from the European Union, in which case I do not see the real problem of scrapping the program altogether. If this is a belief you have no matter what, and if you're already funded by university, well, you can keep having your program and continue your work without being funded by the European Union. And if the university doesn't see an actual need for EU studies or European studies, as so many people do, well, then it's probably because this study is worthless and there's no real employment opportunities on the market apart from becoming a bureaucrat for the European Union or just yet another professor in the field of the European Union studies. I don't really see a need for that. And if you don't receive the funding and it doesn't exist anymore, then probably we didn't need it in the first place. If you go into the documents as well and actually look at, so what do the projects actually need to do to receive the funding, so the application process, there's a lot of paperwork. But here's an interesting paragraph, and I'll be posting that below as well. It says, for networks, please elaborate on how the partnership creates academic added value and promotes European Union studies at a multinational level. Please specify how the network will become a reference point and a multiplier for the European Union subject areas covered and the impact this will have at international level. So the question is really, how can we get as many fields of European Union studies in as possible? Because of course, if you have decades of students being educated not in environmentalism but in European Union environmentalism, well then there's no question that there's nobody else who can really do it apart from the European Union. So to me, this is all very sketchy. And what I really recommend you to do is to read the commentary piece by Alan Sked in The Telegraph, which is from October 2017, and it says, "It's true British universities are grotesquely biased against Brexit." And so for those who are not subscribed to The Telegraph, although I really recommend you doing that, you can get one commentary piece per month for free if you sign up for the Telegraph. So I really recommend you read that, because it also gives you some insight into what the Monet chair and the funding actually does to the professors, and the fact that you have no EU critical intellectual or in academia in major universities anymore. That doesn't exist, and that intellectual diversity is missing. And I believe that these programs have quite something to do with it. But you're free to disagree with me, tell me why I'm wrong, and hopefully I'll see you at one of the events very soon. Also, by the way, before I forget about it, of course I'll be in Belgrade, Serbia for LibertyCon. That's the annual conference of European Students for Liberty. So I'll hope to see you there, and we'll have a beer together. All right, see you soon.